Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Salam Media. I'm your host, Adakir Dawood, for this evening. And taking you through the last hour of the show, we're still going to be celebrating all the women in South African sport and in women's sport in specific. This evening, we're going to be chatting to the head of women's rugby at Western Province Rugby Union. She goes by the name of Nadeema Khan. Her story is very inspirational, very motivational. Earlier this year, we've seen that Cheryl Roberts, a journalist, tweeted that in a tweet, she said that 67-year-old Nadeema Khan would play rugby in the streets of District 6, Cape Town, when she was growing up. She became very involved in club rugby as she became a club administrator and junior club rugby official. Today, she's the head of women's rugby at Western Province. Nadeema Khan wants to see much more being done for girls and women's rugby in Western Province and South Africa. She wants more opportunities to be created for girls and for them to participate. And she's fighting for the opportunities for the girls to be there. Well, that says a lot about a woman of such great stature. It just shows that women's rugby is on the rise, and if we don't support them, we can't just have our men on that pedestal winning titles. Talking about women's rugby, South African women took on Kenya yesterday, where they were victorious, and they were led by Lusanda Dunke, who was the captain of the border rugby team who won the Premier Division against the Western Province in the SA Rugby Premier Division, and then she went on and she captained the Springbok team. But for now, we're going to be chatting to Nadeema Khan. Good evening. Assalamu alaikum. Shukran for joining me on Salam Media this evening.
Wa alaikum salam. Shukran for having me. And I hope we're going to do justice to women's rugby tonight. And there's going to be a little bit more support from the powers that be going forward.
Definitely. And I mean, with the fight that you're fighting and the initiatives that you're pushing, I'm sure that you're happy with the way things are going, with the effort that SA Rugby's made in order to get women's rugby at a level where they can compete with the rest of the world?
Well, I am, yet we have not really reached our goal. There's still a long way to go. And I think ladies need to be recognized more and empowered more to be able to get where our men counterparts are. So without further ado, I just want to tell you that in Cape Town, it's a lot of strides that we have to make still in order to provide rugby for women or children, girls in particular. So from my side, there's a vision that we need to, I can't say level the playing fields, because that's going to take quite a long time for that to happen, but at least provide rugby for the girls from the age of 13 upwards, because currently what is happening is that clubs provide rugby for the girls from about 5 to the age of 13. And then when they get to that age, they really have to travel out of their comfort zone to areas that is really not near to them. And a lot of them can't afford to travel that far because clubs haven't got first of all, the resources. They don't have the manpower in terms of providing rugby for girls. So, it would really help if we can look at how we as a union as well as SARU can accommodate, or how can I say, bring about some change in order to get more women coaches, more women managers, to be able to encourage the girls to do that. I mean, we're very short on women coaches here in South Africa. We need so much more of them. I mean, we've got our coach Lorian and we've got the border coach, but we need much more than that. It is not just about, coaches, but there's the managers, there's the support staff. At Western Province, I think we've made some strides in that. We've got female doctor, we've got a female physiotherapist, our manager's a female, we've got our coach, and that, speaks quite a bit of volumes for Western Province in trying to get and, bridge that divide. So if we can have that rolled out across South Africa, that would really and truly, speak volumes for SARU, for all the various unions that has got girls wanting to play rugby. So I
And
had
I
a, I
mean,
had a pair. Mhm.
no,
I
continue,
had a
continue.
parent approaching me in the week. He said, my daughter wants to play rugby. Where must she go? And
Mm.
that is the type of thing that you should have at the tip of the finger. Say, now go to that club, go to this club. But we don't have that. And that is a sad reality that we have in our women's rugby fraternity. So if we can do a little bit more in order to bring about that change, it will really and truly make a difference.
And I mean, you're chatting so much about women's rugby, and let's focus a bit more on Nadeema Khan. Where did your journey begin? Where were you born, and when did you fall in love with rugby?
Okay. I was born in District 6 in Clifton Street. We're a rugby family. My cousins, my uncles, my father, my neighbors, my husband, my sons, they all play rugby. My grandchildren play rugby. But my rugby journey started in Clifton Street with Rangers Rugby Football Club. And I can very proudly say that today still I am with Rangers. I'm still very much involved in the Rangers Rugby Football Club, and I hope to still be involved because I think there's lots that we can still contribute to rugby, be it just to be on the sideline or in the background. But yes, there are a lot we can do. And my journey really, I can still vividly remember when Rangers used to go in the back of the truck to go play at Vygieskraal, not the Vygieskraal of today. That Vygieskraal started from Klipfontein Road right up to where the current Vygieskraal is now. And we used to travel by that big truck, all of us in the back, go with Boeta Malik, the late Boeta Malik van der Fort, which is one icon. I mean, we can have another evening just talking about Boeta Malik van der Fort, about his involvement. But that's where my journey with rugby started. I played rugby with the boys in the street, with the likes of Anwar Talib, Ibrahim Khirdin, Rashad Jam, Rashad Arnse, the late Muhammad Arns, Ahmad, the late Ahmad Karim. All of them played. Karim Khirdin, all those, guys I played rugby with. I mean, it was a hard game. We played in the street. You fall, they tackle you, you knock your head on the pavement, you get up and you start playing again. And that is where the whole, rugby bug just got the better of me. And I mean, I've been involved ever since with rugby. And I think when my son really started playing senior rugby, because that time there was very little juniors. And then when we moved out of District 6, I mean, we moved to Ottery, and from there we moved to Surrey Estate. And then my son was 14 years old and he started playing 13. And I, by default, became the third team manager, because there was no manager and I was the only spectator that would go with them to support them. And by default, he came home one night from a meeting and he said to me, "Mommy, they've appointed you as the manager of the third team." I was manager of the third team for close to 10 years. I then served on the executive of the Rangers as their secretary for close to 15 years. I then became the club delegate upon unification for Rangers with Western Province. I then represented the Rangers. I was the first female that entered the boardroom at Western Province Newlands. When I came to the door to attend the meeting, the man said to me, "I think you're at the wrong place." I said to him, "No, I'm here to attend the meeting." And he asked me which club, and I said to him, "Rangers." And he said to me, "Oh, we've got a Mr. Khan." I said, "No, you've got it wrong. You better just change that to to Mrs. Khan because I will be coming to all the meetings. So, that is how my involvement came about. I then became the chairperson of Rangers, and I also was then selected to serve on the Relations Committee at Western Province, which I did for 8 years. And that entailed I go to various games, observe the relations between the two clubs, the executive, the players, the referees, and even the spectators. I will then send my report in on a Monday, what type of activities took place. And that was my involvement with Western Province for 8 years on the Relations Committee. And today I also head up that Relations Committee together with heading up the women's rugby as well.
And chatting now, let's take it back to District 6. What was it like, just rugby in the community, in the area of District 6? Because for a youngster like myself, many would call it folktale because there is no physical evidence for us unless we go read the books and we go back into history. But my generation, myself included, we're kind of lazy and we'd rather go YouTube something and look for evidence on YouTube before picking up a physical book and reading a book. What was rugby like in District 6?
I think on a Saturday, everybody was looking forward because now we go to the Greenpoint track. And I remember we used to walk from District 6, Clifton Street to Greenpoint to attend the games. It was an outing for the day. People were looking forward to go to Greenpoint track because when you get to Greenpoint track, there are so many games, so many clubs that are there. The Collegians, who was then called Rosendales, it was Amadeus, it was Kelly's, it was Stars. It was all those, it was with Sonia's. So there were a lot of games happening, and it was just not about the rugby. It was all about meeting people as well. You look forward to see, there's the Arcade today. I'm going to see the Arcade there on Saturday at the game, and it was that type of thing that I think also made the community what they are today. I know a lot of people merely because of my involvement with rugby, and that to me is. It wasn't just rugby, it was also making friends. I mean, I can talk about so many people that I know, which I'm close with, merely because of the rugby. I'm sure I would have been poorer today in terms of having relationships with people if I wasn't involved in rugby at all.
And then,
but the families, the families were integrated. I tell you. My daughter, I remember my one friend used to say, you don't come here and marry a guy that doesn't play rugby. And it was that type of thing, I can tell you, that was the type of conversations. You had to get involved with a guy that played rugby. Otherwise, there was no soccer in Cape Town there where we were. It must be rugby. Otherwise, if you play soccer, then it was, who's the guy? We don't know the guy. You have to play rugby. And I mean, you can go back and if you want to YouTube, and you can actually read up all those legends today that we've there's still a few. Only just yesterday or the day before, we buried Kasim Diedrichs, also one of the Saru legends. Those are the people that played that time when we used to go to Greenpoint track as a youngster. I mean, I can tell you, those were people that they play and they fought hard, their rugby. But it was good rugby that you watched. I mean, today there was so, and you've got a physical, you've got a physiotherapist. Then it was only Buta Malik that used to give them training. They used to run from Silvertree down the Val Drive to get back to Clifton Street, and I mean, we produced the best of rugby players. If I go back in those times.
And looking at it, and do you think that with your journey, and obviously unification came in, but before unification there was the Group Areas Act. Do you think that somewhat broke some of the relationships that you had with your fellow, let's say, rugby colleagues, for that matter? It looks like we've just lost Nadeema for a second there, but we will be back. Here we go. Yes, she is. I was saying before the line broke, do you think that with the Group Areas Act coming, that a lot of your relationships with your colleagues and your friends were broken because now that the Group Areas Act came into place, so many people moved to different areas of the Western Cape, and so many rugby clubs, let's say, were split in two?
Yes, I can say that was really and truly, it was really breaking, not just rugby clubs, but families also. The one moved to Retreat, the other one moved to Belhar, and not everybody had transport to go to. Rangers then went to Surrey Estate, and half of the players that used to play for Rangers couldn't get there to practice. And that is when they started losing some of their players and their members and so on. And if you look back, so many other clubs has experienced the same as Rangers. If I look at Silver Tree, if I look at Callies, I think all of them has gone through the same thing of losing some of the key players. And a lot of clubs also then dissolved because of the fact that they did not have enough players to go forward.
And back to your journey from Rangers and being a manager and then heading up a club. What were some of the challenges you've seen women's rugby grow from a non-existent league in the South African Rugby Union to now having a Premier Division and a First Division? What were some of the things that you've seen on your journey to what it is today?
You know, Akir, it was a hard-fought ambition to want to have women's rugby. You must also remember, it wasn't just women's rugby. It's also the religion that came in. A lot of, parents wouldn't allow their daughters to play rugby because of the fact that they now have to wear the shorts. And I think that was one of the things that I also thought was something that we need to look at, and how can we overcome that. And 3 years ago, UCT had a girl before them. And she came in full hijab and she played a game. And I can tell you, it was one milestone that we can.
I think that there's been another breaking signal there. Well, while we struggle with that, here we've got Nadeema back. Okay, we've got you back.
Maybe I should move from where I'm sitting. Maybe the signal in this room is not so good.
Yeah, but like you were saying, we've all seen that it actually made headlines, and it went viral on Twitter and all social media platforms, where the girl from UCT played in a full hijab, and I think that was something phenomenal. And I think it's a massive achievement for women's sport, and not just for women's sport, but for Muslims at the same time, because it probably inspired so many other Muslim girls now, give them that extra push to go out there and want to play rugby.
Absolutely. And like I said, so many more Muslim girls are coming forward now wanting to play rugby. And that was one step, I can say, maybe in the right direction. You don't want to bring in religion, but at the end of the day, you also have to be very sensitive and mindful about that as well. Otherwise, we won't have any of those girls which are. And I mean, I can tell you, I've had a girl played for Rangers in the age group. She came there when she was 9 years old, and she was phenomenal. if I can tell you. She really was a good girl. And when she came to 13 years old, when the girls they reach puberty, and then the parents would say, no, they can't play rugby because now she needs to wear her hijab and so on. But because we've now taken that step, it is so much more encouraging for girls who want to play to come out there and do just that.
No, definitely. So, I mean, looking at it, where was rugby for girls just a few years ago before we had the Premier Division and the First Division? I mean, you were there, the journey throughout it all. Did you ever see this day coming where South Africa would have a Premier Division team?
No, definitely. I can tell you it was a dream. We were all hoping that it will become that. And I can tell you the journey actually just evolved. And here we are today. And, my team was just unfortunate that day not to be crowned. I think Border was a bit more hungry than us. But it is something that any union can be proud of to, have a girls' team, a strong team. And we in Western Province can actually really say that we're proud. And I mean, if I look at the 7 Western Province players that now play for the Springboks, that also, the one girl made her debut when we played against Bulan this season. And today she's a Springbok and she's a matriculant. And it shows, that there are opportunities out there. It's just for you to grab it and make the most of it. I mean, if I look at Alicia, she was really a breath of fresh air, really and truly.
And for many of the listeners and viewers that are not sure who the matriculant is that is currently in the Springbok setup and played yesterday against Kenya, she goes by the name of Alicia Aris, making a debut
That's
earlier this
correct.
year for Western Province, and now she is donning the Springbok jersey. But Nadeema, just going back on your career, and what was it like? What were some of the challenges that you faced as a female administrator going from provincial level right up to, or let's say from club level for that matter, right up to provincial level? And how did you overcome that challenges?
Well, you need to be strong. You need to stand your ground, and it was difficult. A lot of them won't take you seriously, but if I must say so, I stand my ground. I fight my battles, and if I know I'm right, I'm not stepping down and I'm not stepping back. You need to understand that is where I come from, and I mean, even at my club, they know I fight battles not only just for myself. I fight battles also for my players as well, and my players all know that is what I do as an administrator. I will fight your battle for you, no matter what. And
And
for me, the consequences must come out positive. Otherwise, I have failed my players.
I think that's a fact. And on that, Springbok prop and Western Province player Babalwa Lacha had these words to say earlier when I mentioned your name to her. Just 1 second. Babalwa Lacha. We're just getting it sorted behind the scenes. We will play it in just a second.
Okay.
On behalf of Western Province Women's Rugby in particular, congratulations. And we'd like to thank you more and above that for your contribution to women's sport in South Africa and in the Western Cape. You've been a gallant servant, a gallant soldier, advocating for women's rugby in our continent and country, and we'd like to thank you for that. So congratulations on a milestone, massive career, and massive contribution and input, and thank you for all that you do and have done. Hi, this is Baba Laala, and I would just like to say on behalf of Western Province Women's Rugby in particular, congratulations, and we'd like to thank you more and above that for your contribution to women's sport in South Africa and in the Western Cape. You've been a gallant servant, a gallant soldier, um, advocating for women's rugby in our continent and country, and we'd like to thank you for that. So congratulations on a milestone, massive career, and massive contribution and input, and thank you for all that you do and have done.
Was the Springbok prop and Western Province captain Babawa Lacha telling us a bit more about Nadeema Khan. But massive, like Babawa has said, and before I let you go, I know that you've got a family to go to, but there was a couple of messages of support by everybody in your circle that I just thought I should play these videos for you. Next up, there was a gentleman by the name of Ashley Mckay who sent through a voice note through for you to listen to.
Zaid, sorry, I am not dressed for camera, so I will have to do this, on a clip for you. Mrs. Khan, thank you for being the brave woman that you are. Firstly, I got to know you at the time we were involved with Rangers RFC at the senior level, keeping the men in tune and ensuring that the referees are well looked after at match day and after the match. Thank you. It's very seldom that we get people that take so much care and good care of referees. Then you got involved in junior rugby because you saw the need for the juniors to fulfill future role of the existing seniors within the senior club. That's a tremendous task. And you go all out with your children of the club. Thank you. Then you decided to get involved at a union level, and you served the union.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Congratulations, Mimmy, on all your achievements. It's well deserved. No one deserves this more than you. And this is from the Laala family.
Assalamu alaikum. Hardworking, courageous, go-getter, jet-setter. That's Nadeema Mimmy Deemi Khan. Well done, Mommy. From your family in Kwasa Crescent.
Landscape dominated by men, one lady stands out as a true rose amongst the thorns. Well done on everything you have achieved in rugby. I know you do it for the love of the game and for the love of your community, and not for any other reason. I've had the joy of having 3 of your grandchildren come through my classroom, and their mannerisms and their demeanor is a true reflection of their good upbringing and the influence you have had on that. I wish you all the success in the coming years with rugby and whatever else it is you may do on the team.
Thank you for your hard work and commitment to our youth who love you on the daily.
That was what some of the family members and the friends and everybody in the rugby fraternity had to say. Auntie Nadeema, thank you for your contribution to rugby and everything that you're doing to make sport a better place and a more inclusive place for everybody in South Africa. From myself, I'd like to thank you personally for everything that you've done for me in my career as well. We just don't know where to start, and I'm sure there's many more people out there that whose videos couldn't be played. Apologies, we do have only a certain amount of time on radio, but yeah, Auntie Nadeema, thank you so much for everything that you do for sport in this country. We truly appreciate everything that you do.
Shukran, Akir, for you. And I wish you all the best for your future endeavors that you are going to embark on. And always remember, I'm there to support you 100%. Whatever you want to do, you know I'm behind you. Shukran for you too. Salam alaikum to everyone.
Before we let you go, how does it make you feel hearing those words coming from a Springbok captain, Ashley's words, and all of the family and friends?
You know, like Ashley said, it is all about rugby for me. Yes, but all those children that play for Rangers, they're all my children. And I want to make sure that they always feel that they're always welcome. They know they've got a place to go to. For those children, you know, on a Saturday morning, come there, and you know some of them doesn't come from a home where there's always a meal. And I try to make it my duty on a Saturday when we play home to cook a big pot of food and feed those people. Even my opponents that come, we ensure that we give them a plate before they embark on that bus to go home. And for me, it is only a pleasure doing that. And I want to also just thank my husband for supporting me in this role that I do. You know, some Saturdays I say, oh, I don't feel like making that pot of food. He said, but you can't. The people is depending on the food. And that is, you know, for me, it's all about the rugby and my community. And really and truly, for no other reason, I became involved in the sport. It was just sad that at the time when I was playing rugby, there were no women's rugby, so I couldn't, you know, fulfill that dream of playing the game. But at least I had the opportunity to make a bit of a difference to some of the people in rugby. Shukran.
Afwan, and we ask that the Almighty reward you for all of your efforts and everything that you do, and your sadaqah and your zakat and everything that you do to keep the communities together and make sure that everybody's there for that one purpose and come together for the love of rugby. Nadeema Khan, thank you so much for your time this evening, for joining me on Salam Media. We appreciate you, everything that you do for the sport, and we know that there's a bright future for rugby for as long as you'll be involved in the game. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. That was Nadeema Khan, the head of women's rugby at Western Province, telling us a bit more about her journey and where it started from District 6, taking it up right until Western Province, being one of the first females at the council represented at the council meetings. Amazing. And now she's the head of women's rugby at Western Province. What a journey from District 6 to the head of women's rugby at Western Province. If you missed the interview, it will be on our social media platforms, and I will share it on my personal social media as well. So drop your comments in the comment section below and tell me what you think of Nadeema Khan's story. But stay tuned to Salam Media. We're gonna go to a quick break. And then we're going to be chatting to football journalist Len Moleko as we review the 2021-2022 kits that will be donned by the football teams in the DStv Premiership. And we're also going to be hearing his thoughts on what we can expect on the season to come. As you know, Arsenal kick off their season in about just under 20 minutes time. So yep, we're going to go to a quick break. After that, we're going to chat to Len Moleko to hearing more on what he thinks about the football in this upcoming season.